Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is looking at the individual who has their sun in Virgo and their moon in Sagittarius. And I have the opposite version of this, and I have done a video on that combination. And when I was thinking about doing this video earlier today, I was thinking about snark, because I know that there's a lot of sarcasm when you have the sun in Sag and the moon in Virgo. And so I was assuming, yeah, it's going to be somewhat similar. But then the more that I pondered the influences of having a Virgo sun and having a Sagittarius moon, I thought, no, actually, I don't think it would be like that at all. I mean, anytime that you have Virgo energy or even Sagittarius energy, you can have this show up in slightly different ways. With Virgo, there's that, the critical side that sees the little details and sees the flaws in people and situations. And, being ruled by Mercury, Virgo can really find like precision in how to criticize and pick apart something. And Sagittarius is known for being irreverent. So there's kind of like a similar kind of thing. And but the thing that I would say that would differentiate these two combinations is that the moon can be the person's shadow side, in a sense, the shadow side of the sign. So when you're talking about the moon in Virgo, it could bring out more of the critical side. Whereas the sun in Virgo, to me, is more about doing one's best, trying to be of service. And so with this combination, I can see somebody who has a generous spirit coming from the moon in Sagittarius, as well as having the desire to serve others. So even though these two signs square off to one another, I do feel that they can work in the service of others with a guiding spirit of the moon in Sagittarius, where there might be some kind of spiritual reason, religious reason, ethical reason that the person is doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the individual influences, but I just want to talk about the square, because a square is when two planets are 90 degrees apart from one another, which Virgo and Sag are. Now, this is considered a hard angle, which means that it is difficult, it is frustrating. If you think about a square, you think about blockage. What does that mean? It means that the two forces are coming at each other and there's an impasse. Neither one wants to give in to the other. So they're kind of butting heads, if you will. But depending on the modality involved, so we're talking about mutable modality in this case, where both Virgo and Sagittarius are mutable signs. They're known for being flexible, so the square is not going to be as difficult as I think can especially be true if two planets are squaring off in fixed signs or even cardinal signs where there can be this power struggle. So when it comes to mutable signs, there is that give, where there's an open-mindedness and open quality that lends itself to kind of being able to see the other side of things, even if they still are butting heads. So when you have the sun and moon squaring off to one another, and I do have the official square, but some of you won't, because you will have, you might have an early degree of Virgo sun and a late degree of Sag moon, and they will be too far apart to actually form a square. So technically, it won't be like that, but if we want to talk about loosely what these two signs represent, we can also look at that and say why they form a tense angle, or their energies are tense when they are coming together, is because Virgo is very fastidious, is very precise, organized, and Sag is loosey-goosey. It's Jupiter, it's excessive. Virgo is a sign of moderation and restraint. I mean, I don't know. I'm saying this. I don't know if this is technically true. This is how I perceive Virgo. Virgo rules the sixth house in astrology, which is about health. It's about your work. And so it's very disciplined. So that's why I say about moderation. Somebody who's disciplined doesn't do things to excess. Well, Jupiter, that's not so much. There's going to be, like, if it feels good, do it. Just live for today. Or Virgo might have their whole month planned out in advance. So we could look at the sun is in Virgo. So the sun is what your goals are in the world. The moon is what makes you feel safe. The moon is your emotional nature. So I actually think this is a good combination, even with that square, because the person wants to be organized. And yes, they may feel safe if they are just kind of doing, experiencing freedom and being spontaneous and things like that. But there are there are worse things in the world than somebody who's spontaneous. So I feel like this can actually help Virgo sometimes be less penciled in, overscheduled, if you will, because the sixth house that Virgo rules is also about your daily routine, and so it rules your schedule and how you order your time. I remember when I was 18, this man that I knew, he gave me a day timer. I think that they probably still exist. And my partner then, who is still my partner, laughed, and we're both Sagittarians, and he laughed, and he was like, oh, a day timer, because that was the first time that I became acquainted with, to-do lists and all of that kind of thing. But the Virgo side of me loves that kind of thing. The moon in Virgo, the sun in Sagittarius laughs it off. So you're the opposite of that. And because your sun is about your goals and being goal oriented, your goals revolve around being organized. So the moon allows you to kind of not take yourself too seriously and give yourself some leeway and crave freedom. So I feel like it can actually make you balanced, even though, again, the sun and moon are butting heads. So how the square can kind of like rear its ugly head is, in terms of like the tension of that square, is that with the moon in Sagittarius, you may feel eventually, even if you decide you want a 9-to-5 job, you may, tension may start to build, and you decide that you can't stand it anymore and you need your freedom. That hamster wheel is just too oppressive to you. And because Sagittarius is a fire sign and it's very expansive, the emotions can be very inflated. And sometimes with fire energy, it can even get heated. So earth signs like Virgo are very sensible, detached, rational. Fire signs can kind of go off on emotion, because if you think about fire is wild. It's not contained. It's chaotic in that sense. It starts small and then it builds. And so if somebody who has a moon sign in fire, so that would be Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, gets a bee in their bonnet and they get angry about something, maybe it starts kind of small and then they start thinking about it and then they get more and more pissed off. And they can let off steam too because of the fiery temperament. Because your moon sign can be that way. But look at your Mars too, because Mars is the anger. I'm actually going to be doing a video on anger. So check that out. Check out my channel because it'll be in the near future. Of course, this is an evergreen video, so it's timeless, and you won't even, you'd have to check when I actually recorded this to see when I'm going to post the other one. But yeah, so Mars can be your the way you express anger or even your attitude towards anger as far as I'm concerned, but the moon is your emotions across the board. And with Sagittarius, a beautiful thing is that you will tend to be warm. I call Virgos persnickety. And because I have the moon in Virgo, this shows up a lot where I do feel like there's like a coolness to me because of that moon being in Virgo. Even though my sun is in fire, I do feel like I have this kind of, detached side to myself. And I don't really like it because I know that it kind of can be standoffish. And so this is going to be reversed for people with the sun in Virgo, where you typically may come across in a more detached way, is that when you are emotionally engaged, you can show that warmth. Now, you're going to have to look at your rising sign about how you come across, because that could certainly tip things in one direction versus another. Because let's say your rising sign is Aquarius, that's going to make you much more aloof. Even if you're friendly, it's not going to make you be antisocial, but it could make you very aloof, detached, and not the warmest individual on the planet. But the saving grace, and that can, also be true for some other signs. But what about if your rising sign is Pisces? You might just be or Cancer, you might be a puddle emotionally, where you're just constantly dissolving into tears or something like that. And that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It might be quite endearing. But it just would kind of throw off your sun in Virgo that wants to be very rational. The earth signs want to be rational because you're earth, you're grounded, you want proof in life, you want evidence. Anything that is outside of that realm, that's irrational. But in any case, in terms of your emotional interactions when it comes to love, this combination I feel can be quite solitary. They say that in the tarot, the Hermit is connected to Virgo. And I still don't entirely know why that is. I think there's supposed to be a kind of chastity with Virgo. Virgo is the virgin or the maiden, and maybe that extends to the celibates, in the realm of the holy person. But in any case, Virgo, yeah, the purity that we associate with that. And I feel that with Sagittarius, that Sagittarius is a sage, ninth house, religion. Interestingly, the Hermit card is number 9, so there's some overlap there with influences. And but in any case, you might be the kind of person who would be a theologian, who would be somebody who, with the sun in Virgo, who wants to analyze the spiritual or the religious. And this can be the person, I mean, if you're interested in religion at all. But in terms of love, I feel like this can be the person who really does enjoy being, by yourself, or you want that kind of intellectual companionship. It's not going to be enough for you for somebody to be hot. You might think a fine mind is hot. And the other thing about this, you can entertain yourself. You don't need somebody to kind of hold your hand and do things for you, because you have a lot of independence, I would say. Virgo is very resourceful and, well, what we would call, you're very capable on your own, and Sag is very independent. But if you do love, I feel like you're going to love people who are independent as well, and who are intelligent, maybe funny and fun-loving. And you do have that side to yourself that's very fun-loving, because anytime you have the moon in fire, it's kind of like the big kid at heart, the inner child that comes out to play. And also creativity, because the moon can represent creativity. So this may be in particular writing, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And so that has to do with communication. And Sagittarius rules the 9th house, which is publishing. So this combination for, in terms of career, could be something with writing or communicating. So academia, a person who writes scholarly books, or maybe is a lecturer, where you have to have a lot of information that you are disseminating. That's the Virgo side of things, researching. Somebody who has to be precise, and they have to be correct in what they're doing. A proofreader, I could see that. I'm one of those people. I'm that person on the internet correcting people's grammar. Sorry in advance. I know I was going to say sorry, not sorry. But yeah, I mean, but the reason that I do it is because I want people to not repeat, or what we would call reinforce erroneous words, that, misspellings and things like that. It's not because because I'm insecure and I'm trying to kind of show that I'm intellectually superior or anything like that. I really feel like called to do it. And that is because this combination that you have and the one that I have, the opposite, these different permutations, can be the teacher of some sort, you know what I mean? And we want to help people to understand what is proper grammar. There's a sense with Virgo of getting it right. So correcting people grammatically, I can see with this combination. But usually you do that through teaching and other kinds of instruction. This could be great for that. Even somebody in the media, Virgo. Now, Mercury rules both the 6th house with Virgo, but also the 3rd house with Gemini. And that the 3rd house is really associated with the media, journalism and social media and things like that. So I could certainly see with Sagittarius being in the mix, social media because when you have fire, it's expansive, and social media is really all about expansion. It's about like, people sharing content and then it expands, it goes viral and so on and so forth. If you are somebody who gets involved in spirituality or religion, I have a feeling that you would be more by the book with the sun in Virgo. Virgos are kind of like the how-to sign, because they're kind of like, I could see a Virgo person, if they were writing something, it'd either be journalistic or maybe like a nonfiction type of book of like how to make your life better, how to do this, how to do that. But in terms of spirituality, it could be yoga. It could be, which is actually like Hatha yoga is using the body in terms of like the spiritual. So because Virgo's an earth sign, then that makes a lot of sense. Also, Virgo rules health through the 6th house. And I always think of Virgo's alternative health in a vegetarian diet. I've been a vegetarian for many years. But also herbalism I associate with it, natural because of earth. So this combination I could see because Sagittarius is prophetic and it's in the moon position. So you would have more intuitive abilities through having Sag the moon and kind of seeing the bigger picture of things. So, because Virgo in astrology rules the 6th house in health, and we could say by extension healthcare in the healthcare system, we can see the direction things are going in, that prophetic kind of vision, and seeing like what is more advantageous in terms of like what to follow in all of that. So so that's what I would say. I think this is a really great combination for being an interesting person, like being a good conversationalist. You might know a little bit about a lot of things, and so you're able to kind of riff on things and make people think that you're very knowledgeable. Maybe you just are a dabbler to a certain degree, but you do have more of a breadth of knowledge because of this combination. You probably love to read, and just being a lifelong learner for sure, and just being a person who sees the best in others. I think that that's really good to temper that tendency to be critical and also self-critical, because Virgo is a perfectionist, and sometimes people, they really kick themselves when they make a mistake. They feel like Virgos can really get down on themselves for, missing the mark, so to speak. And with the moon being your emotional nature, that can give you more emotional generosity towards yourself and others. And that's really helpful because we need more of that in this world. There's just way too much picking at every little thing. And I just expressed hypocrisy because I just said I correct people's grammar. So, but I'm sure that other people sometimes feel like they need to, and Virgo people, they may feel like they need to tell other people something for their own good. So it's not like they're just trying to make them feel bad about themselves or anything. So anyway, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.